Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the joint session of Namibia's Parliament, says both nations respect dignity and freedom, lauds India's constitution. Prime Minister Narendra Modi awarded Namibia's highest civilian honour, Order of the Most Ancient Well-Wisher Mirabilis. Following India-Namibia bilateral talks, 4 MoUs inked between the two countries in sectors including biofuel, healthcare and medicines. Prime Minister stressed on enhanced cooperation in the diamond sector. US President Donald Trump to unveil new round of trade tariff letters targeting at least 7 countries. Sharp reaction triggers from world leaders. And with 1 win apiece, India to take on England in the 3rd Test match at the iconic Lords in London on Thursday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Namibia on a state visit. He was given a grand ceremonial welcome at the State House. Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a 21-gun salute during the ceremonial welcome in Namibia. Later, Prime Minister Narendra Modi signed the visitors' book, marking a significant moment in India-Namibia camaraderie. He was warmly welcomed by Namibian President officials and exchanged cordial handshakes with President Nandi Ndaitwah, symbolizing the strong bilateral ties between the two countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held high-level delegation talks with Namibian President Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah in Windhoek, focusing on deepening India-Namibia ties. The discussions covered cooperation in energy, health, education and digital technology with the aim of strengthening bilateral partnerships. In her address, President Nandi-Ndaitwah praised the strong India-Namibia relationship, emphasizing the potential of both countries to expand trade and investment cooperation. She highlighted key areas of collaboration, including green hydrogen, mining and value addition, oil and gas infrastructure, development, food security and tourism. Her remarks were followed by Prime Minister Modi's address, in which he underscored cooperation in the civil, nuclear and petroleum sectors. He affirmed that both countries are committed to further promoting trade and investments. Following the talks, India and Namibia signed 4 agreements to strengthen bilateral ties. These include the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure Framework, aimed at enhancing infrastructure resilience, the Global Biofuels Alliance Framework Agreement to promote sustainable energy, a Memorandum of Understanding on establishing an Entrepreneurship Development Center to foster innovation, and an agreement in cooperation in health and medicine to advance healthcare collaboration. These pacts underscore the shared commitment of India and Namibia to sustainable development and mutual growth. Further, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been awarded Namibia's highest award, Order of the Most Ancient Well-Wisher Mirabilis. The Order of the Most Ancient Welvisha Mirabilis is the highest civilian award of Namibia. The award was established in 1995, shortly after Namibia gained independence in 1990, to recognize distinguished service and leadership. Named after the Welvisha Mirabilis,
by virtue of the power vested,
a unique and ancient desert plant endemic to Namibia, the order symbolizes resilience, longevity, and the enduring spirit of the Namibian people. This makes it the 27th award for Prime Minister Modi and the 4th award in this ongoing tour of 5 nations. The award was presented by Namibian President Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, who hailed Modi's contributions to global peace, justice, and socio-economic development.
Most Asian order of Welvisha Mirabilis to Honorable Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, who has significantly contributed to socio-economic development and the promotion of peace and justice in Namibia and globally.
While speaking after receiving the award, Prime Minister Modi dedicated the honour to the unwavering friendship between India and Namibia.
नामीबिया का वेलविचिया, जिसके नाम पर इस अवार्ड का नाम रखा गया है, यह कोई साधारण पौधा नहीं है। यह घर के एल्डर्स की तरह हैं, जिन्होंने समय को करवट लेते देखा है। यह नामीबिया के लोगों के संघर्ष, साहस और संस्कृति का प्रतीक है। यह भारत और नामीबिया की अविचल दोस्ती का साक्षी है और आज इससे जुड़कर मैं बहुत गौरवान्वित महसूस कर रहा हूं। मैं इस सम्मान को नामीबिया और भारत के लोगों को, उनकी निरंतर प्रगति और विकास को और हमारी अटूट मित्रता को समर्पित करता हूं।
And thereafter, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Namibian Parliament, where he gave a very insightful speech of working together for a shared future. He said that the world should move forward not by power but by partnership, not by dominance but by dialogue. And to discuss all this, we have with us Ambassador Anil Kumar Trigunayat, a former senior diplomat. Welcome, sir, to the program. Prime Minister Modi, in his address to the Namibian Parliament, dwelt at length on Global South Unity, Vision 2030, Prosperity Plan for Namibia, Africa's goal for industrialization by 2063. Would you agree that the Indian Prime Minister was stressing his intention of strongly renewing ties with not just Namibia, but the entire African continent?
Thank you very much. In fact, you're absolutely right. I mean, India has been the voice of the Global South forever, but in recent years, this has been further accentuated, and we have seen that during the our G20 presidency, India held 2 Voice of Global South summits, and that's what Prime Minister Modi said, that we must learn and understand from their requirements exactly what the Global South countries want, and not that we should presume it. And similarly, in the Parliament, as you have seen, he also mentioned about the inclusion of African Union as a permanent member as during our presidency. Secondly, we have also seen that during this 5 days visit, 5-country visit, as we have seen, 2 of the countries, Ghana and Namibia, are in Africa. So India is moving towards, in a very big way, in creating a bonhomie, greater bonhomie, and sharing and care attitude among the Global South countries. So this is something that is very, very important. And you rightly mentioned about when he has been, that's the reason he has been awarded the highest order by the Namibian government, Namibian people. We were involved from the very beginning about their freedom, and we provided them, and we were the first country to also recognize Namibia's freedom, and we have continued to support them all through. And that's why Prime Minister said that from freedom to future, for a shared progress. I mean, those are very important words, and they are not only words, they are a reality that India is supporting. And all these MoUs that have been signed also exactly relate to the requirements of this. You know, he referred to those 10 guiding principles that he had announced while he was addressing the Parliament in Uganda. And those he reiterated those guiding principles once again. And so therefore, whether it is CDRI, whether it's Global Biofuel Alliance, whether it is International Solar Alliance, whether it is civil nuclear energy, green energy, renewable energy, so these are the things in which the countries will continue to move forward in different directions. And therefore, the vision that Africa or Namibia have, whether it is 2063 or 2030 vision, very much blends with India's vision of developing the developing countries even more.
Okay. Yes, as you mentioned, sir, key MOUs have been signed in the field of entrepreneurship, the infrastructure framework, health and medicine, and another one on biofuels. Then very significant, the opening up of UPI, the first country in Africa, Namibia, will have UPI. So how does all these, MOUs open the path of further collaboration between India and Namibia?
Well, as you know, the UPI, India has been, this must be now 23rd or 24th country with which we have signed the UPI agreement. In fact, Trinidad and Tobago also agreed to do so. So this clearly shows that the developing countries are bringing about their financial heft together by discarding the unnecessary transaction costs through third currencies. So that is something very important. And more importantly, I think that healthcare has always been a forte, and capacity building like Entrepreneur Center and all that, and Center of Excellence we already set up there. And so all these are going to go a long way in creating the capacities in the country. So India is not looking only to export, because our policy of the 10 guiding principles, which Prime Minister said, is Africa for the Africans. So that is something which is driven from the mutual respect. That is the defining principle of India's. And even today, he mentioned that you decide what you want to do, and it is your country which should need to follow their own path. So those are some things that are very important, and India is there to assist them, and that's what we have seen being repeated and reiterated again.
Green hydrogen also topped the India-Namibia agenda. Could you explain the fundamental importance of collaboration on green hydrogen for the two countries?
Well, renewable energy is something because of the climate change crisis that the world is going through. And this is very important that more and more countries revert towards the renewable energy. And India has taken a great lead in that. And therefore, working together, whether it's green hydrogen or in civil nuclear cooperation, which we might start once again with them, and they have nuclear deposits, uranium deposits in the country. So I think that these are some things that are going to mutually be beneficial for both the countries, and that's precisely how we are looking at it. That greater collaboration in the renewable energy, and as and when India hosts the India-Africa Forum Summit, it gives you an indication in the directions that we are going to support the African continent in that way.
Okay, Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his address to the Parliament also thanked Namibia for its conservation, compassion and cooperation approach, referring to the cheetah project. He in fact said that they have grown in number. So could you elaborate more on this aspect of the bilateral relations, the introduction of Namibian cheetahs in India?
Well, I think that's a very unique kind of a collaboration that we have had with, in the past also with certain countries. We have had this kind of exchange of various animals that they don't have or we don't have, and the cheetahs that have been brought, and Prime Minister Modi himself personally left in the forest here. They are also part in that sense of the Big Cat Alliance, as you know, that India has been promoting and propagating. So it very much fits into that, and rightly so that the Prime Minister mentioned about that. So this is a very unique thing. And Prime Minister also spoke about the football and cricket. I mean, he just closed his speech by talking about 2027 Joint Cricket Cup that is to be held. So I think that there, you see, these kind of socio-cultural, people-to-people connecting with the country and the people in a diverse domain is what makes India different from others. And that's what is, I think, the Prime Minister's approach has also been on focusing on those areas which have been untouched so far.
Yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be concluding his 5-nation tour very shortly. What would you say were the key takeaways of this trip as regards each country he visited? Brazil, Ghana, Trinidad, Tobago, Argentina, Namibia. And what would you say is the overall takeaway?
Well, I think in a world of disruption, what India has been trying to communicate that Global South has to stand together. His visit to all the 5 countries has been highly successful, as we have all witnessed, and especially ending with Namibia, and before that, chairing the BRICS summit and having a bilateral with Brazil. With each country, the new goalposts for cooperation have been outlined, which are going to be mutually beneficial, because India believes in that 3M's approach: the mutual respect, mutual sensitivity, and mutual interest. And next year, we are also going to, 26, we are going to be hosting the BRICS summit. And as you know, this year we're going to host the Quad summit. So India is emerging as a bridge builder between North and South and East and West. And this is being acknowledged and recognized by more and more countries, especially the ones that he just visited.
Okay, on that note, we conclude our discussion. Thank you very much, Anil Kumar Trigunayatji, for being with us on the India Newshour.
Thank you.
All right, so let's rewind a little bit. During his address to the Namibian Parliament on Wednesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced India's support for establishing an entrepreneurship development centre in Namibia. He emphasised that the centre would serve as a hub for Namibian youth, providing mentorship, funding and networking opportunities to nurture Namibians' business dreams.
We are honored to support Namibia's youth through the new Entrepreneurship Development Center. It will be a place where business dreams can get mentorship, funding, and friends too.
Prime Minister Modi also expressed his excitement over Namibia becoming the first country in Africa to adopt India's Unified Payment Interface UPI technology.
We are thrilled that Namibia is the first country to adopt India's UPI, Unified Payment Interface technology. Soon, people will be able to send money faster than one can say Tangi Unene. Our bilateral trade has crossed $800 million. But like on the cricket field, we are just warming up.
Prime Minister Modi also spoke about Namibia's role in the reintroduction of cheetahs in India. Take a look.
India and Namibia have a powerful story of cooperation, conservation, and compassion. When you help us in reintroducing cheetahs in our country, we are deeply grateful for your gift.
And now we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Nvidia notched a market capitalization of $4 trillion on Wednesday, making it the first public company in the world to reach this milestone and solidifying its position as one of Wall Street's most favored stocks. A rare operational Apple I computer, one of only 50 built by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak in 1976, is up for auction at Sotheby's in New York. This particular model, known as the Romkey Apple One, is expected to fetch between $400,000 to $600,000. And British auction house Sotheby's is also auctioning the largest Martian meteorite ever found on Earth. This is known as the NWA 16788, weighing 24.5 kgs. This rare specimen is expected to fetch between $2 million and $4 million at the July 16th auction in New York. You're watching DD India News Hour. Still to come on the show. Russia launches its largest aerial assault on Ukraine since the conflict began. Taiwan launches its biggest war games with simulated attacks against military command. And import-export fraud case accused Monica Kapoor extradited from the US after over 2 decades.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India. Welcome to DD India, where a billion voices unite, connecting viewers to the stories that matter. India is not just another news channel. It's the international channel that puts the spotlight on the global south, bringing you stories from the heart of emerging economies, dynamic cultures and transformative voices. As the international news channel of India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati, DD India delivers high-quality content from every corner of the globe, focusing on the stories that shape our future. We don't just report news. We connect you to India's voice in the global narrative, from current affairs to culture, from economic growth to sustainable development and the ever-evolving world order. DD India gives you a comprehensive view of the world around us. Stay connected, stay informed, and embrace the stories that shape our lives. DD India. India's voice to the world.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. A reminder of the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses joint session of Namibia's parliament, says both nations respect dignity and freedom, lauds India's constitution. Prime Minister Narendra Modi awarded Namibia's highest civilian honour, Order of the Most Ancient Well-Wisher Mirabilis. Following India-Namibia bilateral talks, 4 MoUs inked between the two countries in sectors including biofuel, healthcare and medicine. Prime Minister Modi stresses on enhanced cooperation in the diamond processing sector. US President Donald Trump to unveil new round of trade tariff letters targeting at least 7 countries, triggers sharp reaction from world leaders. And with 1 win apiece, India will take on England in the 3rd Test match at the iconic Lords in London on Thursday. On to international news of the day. US President Donald Trump's fresh tariff warning has triggered reactions globally. European Union said that it could reach an outline trade agreement with the United States in the coming days. Bank of England said that the US tariffs' unpredictability Trade tensions as well as conflicts in Iran, Gaza and Ukraine pose elevated risks to UK's financial stability. Malaysia's Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim too reacted sharply to the trade tariffs.
US President Donald Trump's fresh tariff warning has once again triggered reactions in many countries. EU trade chiefs said that the European Commission has made good progress on a framework trade agreement with the United States, and a deal may even be possible in the coming days.
The discussions are constructive. We have made good progress on the text of the joint statement or agreement in principle, and I hope we can soon finalise our work. Crucially, while other nations faced increased tariffs from the United States as a result of the letters that President Trump sent out on Monday, our negotiations have spared the EU from facing higher tariffs.
While Bank of England warned that US tariffs, unpredictability, trade tensions between Beijing and Washington, as well as conflicts in Iran, Gaza and Ukraine pose risks to UK financial stability.
Risks and uncertainty associated with geopolitical tensions, global fragmentation of trade and financial markets, and pressures on sovereign debt markets are still elevated. Some geopolitical risks have crystallized, and material uncertainty around the global macroeconomic outlook persists.
On Tuesday, Trump said a minimum of 7 tariff notices would be issued on Wednesday. He had also said he would impose a 50% tariff on imported copper and soon introduce long-threatened levies on semiconductors and pharmaceuticals, a day after he mounted pressure on 14 trading partners with fresh tariff letters. Malaysia's Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim too reacted sharply to trade tariffs, saying tools once used to generate growth are now used for pressure.
Across the world, tools once used to generate growth are now wielded to pressure, isolate and contain. Tariffs, export restrictions and investment barriers have now become the sharpened instruments of geopolitical rivalry.
While Bangladeshi garment exporters hope that US would reduce 35% tariff that President Donald Trump said he will impose. Bureau Report, DD India.
On to the Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Ukraine has accused Russia of launching its largest aerial assault since the conflict began, targeting regions near NATO member Poland. Kiev claims the strikes are meant to sabotage fragile ceasefire efforts. This comes as President Donald Trump pledges more arms and considers new sanctions on Moscow. Meanwhile, the Kremlin downplays Trump's criticism, saying the conflict is more complex than it seems. Here's more in our next report.
Amid fragile diplomatic efforts toward a ceasefire, Ukraine on Wednesday accused Russia of launching its largest aerial assault since the war began, firing 728 drones and 13 missiles, mainly targeting western regions near NATO member Poland. The escalating attacks have increasingly strained Ukraine's air defenses. Kyiv claimed the strikes were meant to derail peace efforts, following US President Donald Trump's renewed pledge to bolster Ukraine's defense. Trump has approved sending US defensive weapons to Ukraine and is considering further sanctions on Moscow.
We're not happy with Putin. I'm not happy with Putin. I can tell you that much right now, because he's killing a lot of people. And a lot of them are his soldiers and their soldiers, mostly. And it's now up to 7,000 a week. And I'm not happy with Putin.
The Kremlin responded calmly to Trump's criticism of President Vladimir Putin, with spokesperson Dmitry Peskov saying Trump now recognizes the conflict's complexity.
We are quite calm about this. First of all, Trump has, so to speak, a rather tough style in terms of the phrases he uses and so on. We also heard a very important statement by Trump that the settlement of the Ukrainian conflict turned out to be much more difficult than he thought from the very beginning. This is what we have been saying from the very beginning.
On the other hand, in a retaliatory move, a Ukrainian drone strike on a beach in Russia's Kursk city killed 3 people on Wednesday, including a National Guard serviceman, and injured 7 others. 5 of them were seriously injured. Russia also accused Ukraine of using anti-personnel mines, causing civilian injuries.
Ukraine had failed to fulfill its obligations under the convention even prior to the mentioned decision. However, Ukraine never complied with this requirement. Ukraine's use of anti-personnel mines against civilians is systematically documented by Russian law enforcement agency, and we have been informing you about it.
As both sides trade accusations and intensify strikes, hopes for a ceasefire remain uncertain. The rising civilian toll and international involvement signal a dangerous phase in a war now well into its fourth year. Rabindra Chauhan for DD India.
An economic offender, Monica Kapoor, who was involved in an import-export fraud and was on the run for over 25 years, has been extradited from the United States, the Central Bureau of Investigation announced on Wednesday. In a statement, the CBI said fugitive Monica Kapoor went to the USA in 1999 after the alleged fraud, where she, along with her two brothers, forged documents for a jewellery business. These documents were allegedly used to obtain licenses from the Indian government to import raw materials duty-free. Former British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak will return to Goldman Sachs in an advisory role, the Wall Street Bank said on Tuesday, taking a new post a year after he led the Conservatives to a crushing electoral defeat. As per Goldman Sachs chairman David Solomon, Sunak will advise clients on the macroeconomic and geopolitical landscape. Sunak, who remains a Conservative Member of Parliament from a seat in Northern England, previously worked at Goldman Sachs as an analyst in the early 2000s. Back to Asia. Taiwan launched its largest ever military drills on Wednesday, beginning with simulated attacks on command systems and infrastructure considered vulnerable to threats from the Chinese military. Naval vessels in harbours across the island were seen mobilizing, while reservists were called up to participate in training exercises. This year's annual Han Kuang exercises will mobilize the largest number of reservists to date, around 22,000, and will for the first time feature high mobility artillery rocket systems made by Lockheed Martin. Over the next 10 days, the drills will expand to test Taiwan's combat readiness in the event of a full-scale attempt to seize the island. The global money laundering and terror financing watchdog, the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, released a key report on Tuesday, citing the use of online payment services, virtual private networks and e-commerce platforms in the Pulwama terror attack in February 2019 and the Gorakhnath temple attack in April 2022. The watchdog flagged that digital platforms such as social media, messaging applications and crowdfunding sites are increasingly being abused for terror financing. The FATF report, without naming any country, noted that it had received reports from its delegations about the use of state sponsorship for terrorist financing, either as fundraising technique or as part of the financial management strategy of certain organizations engaging in terrorist activities. India's Minister of Power, Manohar Lal, addressed a key session on energy storage and green hydrogen during the India Energy Storage Week 2025 at the Yashobhoomi Convention Centre in New Delhi. Emphasizing India's rapid strides under the National Green Hydrogen Mission, the minister urged private firms to actively participate in scaling up energy storage solutions. Australian High Commissioner to India, Philip Green, also participated in the session, highlighting Australia's willingness to share expertise and technical collaboration in the clean energy space. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Wednesday addressed the NBFC Symposium 2025 in New Delhi, emphasizing the importance of responsible lending practices. The symposium, organized by the Department of Financial Services, saw participation from Ministry of State Pankaj Chaudhary, Secretary M. Nagaraju, top public sector bank officials and CEOs. Lauding the sector's growth, the minister highlighted that gross loan advances by National Banking Finance Corporations, NBFCs, have grown significantly, doubling from 24 lakh crore rupees as of March 2021 to 48 lakh crore rupees in March 2025. She hailed the NBFC as a preferred lending choice due to their customer-friendly approach. The minister also cautioned non-banking financial companies against financial exploitation, urging them to avoid aggressive marketing and adhere to RBI's rule book.
There are areas in which the presence of the NBFCs should be more effectively used by the public sector banks. Recovery practices of the NBFCs must be fair, empathetic and respectful in strict accordance with the RBI's Fair Practices Code. The stronger regulation and oversight is the best testimony of your importance in the financial system and the broader economy. The NBFCs, either on their own together as a federation or through the DFS, should have a vision for India.
The India Cellular and Electronics Association, ICEA, released a report titled Charging Ahead, Transforming India's Lithium-Ion Battery Recycling Ecosystem. This emphasizes the rapid growth of India's lithium-ion battery market. The report estimated that the demand could soar to 115 gigawatt hours by 2030, in line with India's net zero goals and backed by supportive government policies. However, the report warns of present challenges, including a rising import bill and environmental risks, urging the development of robust domestic recycling and manufacturing infrastructure.
The digital industry, which is mobile phones, laptops, etc., have been around for now almost 30 years and more. So the lithium ion extraction is not at that number in terms of quantity. It's complex, it's large number of products, but since now we are also getting into solar and electric vehicles in a big way, the whole volume of this industry is going to grow manifold. So this is the time that we should now start taking this extremely seriously, building capacities, getting the best technology, creating the best reverse logistics systems so that this industry starts getting into a virtuous cycle.
And now we take a look at what else is making news in India. Home Minister Amit Shah held a Sehkar Samvad with women from Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and other cooperative workers associated with the cooperative sector on the occasion of the International Cooperative Year. A major tragedy occurred on Wednesday as the Gambhir bridge connecting Vadodara and Anand districts of the Indian state of Gujarat collapsed suddenly, sending 4 vehicles plunging into the Mahisagar river. More than 46,000 Gram Panchayats have been declared TB-free across India, TB being tuberculosis. The Indian state of Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh lead the tally with the maximum number of panchayats declared TB-free. You're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sporting news. The India versus England 5-match cricket test series heads into its pivotal third chapter at the most iconic cricket venue of them all, the Lords. The test series is finely balanced at 1-1 as the third test match approaches. The stakes couldn't be higher, with both sides eyeing a crucial lead. While India arrived with the momentum of a record-breaking win, England will be desperate to restore parity on familiar turf. A report.
After a dominant 336-run victory at Edgbaston, India carried not just momentum but renewed belief. Their captain Shubman Gill, who scored over 400 runs in that match alone, returns to the home of cricket as a batter in sublime form, leading a side hungry to rewrite their overseas record. But England, bruised yet unbowed, will look to bounce back hard. The Lord's surface, known for its early movement, could tempt the host to tweak their bowling attack. Eyes are on speedster Jofra Archer, who returned to the squad after recovering from injury. Meanwhile, India welcome back their pace spearhead Jasprit Bumrah. His inclusion promises a thrilling duel, especially against England's in-form middle order.
Lords का जो टेस्ट का जो फर्स्ट सेकंड इनिंग का स्कोर्स भी है वो कंपैरेटिवली लो है, सो एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि थोड़ा हेल्प बॉलर्स को ज्यादा हो सकता है. बैट्समैन के लिए चैलेंजिंग सेम थिंग मैं बिलीव करता हूं कि वो माइंड सेट ही है. स्पेंडिंग टाइम ऑन द विकेट्स इज द बेस्ट फ्रेंड यू कैन हैव.
Akashdeep, fresh from a record-breaking 10-wicket haul, rattled England's top order and notably cleaned up Joe Root with a fabulous delivery at Edgbaston. The right-arm seamer now faces the challenge of maintaining that form under the scrutiny of Lords. India's batting has found rhythm too. Apart from Captain Gill, Vice-Captain Rishabh Pant, Yashasvi Jaiswal and KL Rahul have showcased fearlessness and scored valuable centuries across both tests.
We, over the, history of 50-60 years, we played 7 matches over different courses, different teams coming here. I believe this is the best Indian team to be able to come here in England, and we have the capability to beat them, to win the series from here. And we have got the right momentum with us. If we keep making the right decisions and we keep grinding and we keep fighting, I think it would be one of the series to remember.
For England, a response is imperative. The batting unit, led by Stokes, Root, Brooke and Pope, has to find answers against India's varied and confident bowling attack. As the battle for Test supremacy intensifies, both teams know the third Test could be decisive. With the series tied at 1-1 and the Lord's stage set, expect no shortage of drama and defining moments. Sports Desk, DD India.
England has named its team for the third Test against India, which gets underway at the Lords on Thursday. Archer, who last featured in a Test match in February 2021, has been building towards a return. He was seen bowling regularly during intervals at Edgbaston. Archer will replace fellow seamer Josh Tongue, the only change England has made for the third Test. With the series tied at 1-1, the Ben Stokes-led England will be looking to bounce back against a high-on-confidence Shubman Gill-led team India. Real Madrid will face Paris Saint-Germain in the Club World Cup semi-finals in New Jersey on Wednesday. Xabi Alonso's team edged past Borussia Dortmund 3-2 in a quarter-final to set up a last-four clash with PSG. This will be the first time Real Madrid forward Kylian Mbappe will face his former club, Paris Saint-Germain, who won their first Champions League title in May to secure a historic treble, beat Bayern Munich to reach the semi-finals. While Luis Enrique-led PSG are seeking to end a trophy-laden season with even more silverware, the Club World Cup marks the start of a new era for Real under their new coach, Xabi Alonso. And US President Donald Trump is set to attend the FIFA Club World Cup final on Sunday in East Rutherford, New Jersey. FIFA President Gianni Infantino announced the opening of a representative office at Trump Tower, where the Club World Cup trophy will be on display until the final. The tournament, featuring the world's best club teams, has been widely seen as a dry run for the 2026 Football World Cup, which will be co-hosted by the United States of America, Canada and Mexico. And that is all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.